Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's comic book review. Continuing on, we have Web of Spider-Man number 4. Well, same as always, you have an origin story to the next character in the gauntlet, Mysterio. It was an interesting story. Then you have another part to Spider-Girl, which was the ending to the first story. God knows that there's a second one. And then I didn't even waste my time reading the third story. It looked boring as shit. So I did not read it. It was about the gangsters, which happens. We'll get into that in a second. In Amazing Spider-Man, all in all, I don't know. I'm starting to get sick of these origins of the villain. I mean, I think the comic book. I mean, it's around now for 4 issues. They need to build up a little more substance with their comic. They're giving an origin, which, believe me, you could skim through and get exactly what's going on in the origin. They give a Spider-Girl story, which a lot of people really do not care about Spider-Girl in the future, especially because of this whole One More Day bullshit, which she doesn't even exist anymore now, or thus far anyway. It could be rewritten, I don't know. We all saw that poster with Spider-Man and Mary Jane, and things could be rectified, and then she lives again. But at least at the moment, Mary Jane is not married to Peter Parker anymore. They're not having a kid. Spider-Girl makes no sense at this moment, unless it's an alternate universe now. And the third stories, other than the Aunt May honeymoon thing with Senior J. Jonah Jameson Sr., crap. And also the J. Jonah Jameson Jr. one was kind of funny. I laughed at that. But still, it needs more. I mean, they have to speed it up, or else I'm just going to give up on the web. Not to mention, starting either in March, you're going to have Peter Parker, Spider-Man, coming back. And April, you're going to have a Spider-Man comic book starting where he's back in high school, which is kind of like the Ultimate Universe. And I'm being honest, if the first issue sucks, which I'm almost 100% sure it is, I won't be getting that. And if Peter Parker's going to suck, I ain't going to be getting that either. So I'm going to be taking Webb, Peter Parker, and Spider-Man. And this series I will try to hold on to as long as possible. Amazing Spider-Man 618, starting off with Mysterio as far as the gauntlet. Funny story is, though, Mysterio's only in like 1 page. The main story of this issue is all the people inside of Mysterio. The gangsters and Mr. Negative are in this issue. It was boring. I'm being honest. It was pretty boring. Spider-Man versus a gang. Of course, Spider-Man wins. The only good part was at the end where where Aunt May was, I don't know, she saw Mr. Negative, and Mr. Negative touched her, and he did something to her mind, and she basically calls Pete a screw-up. He's going nowhere with his life, and Pete just runs off, and it's like, whoa. You would never expect it from Aunt May, but you can tell she's being controlled. It's all mind control. But still, and then Pete goes off, and that's how it basically ends, with Aunt May showing that she's under Mr. Negative's control. I'm guessing the next issue, I hate when they say it. They're like, in the next issue a big event happens. I'm starting to worry. Whenever I hear the word big event, I start to like, oh, big event, oh shit. But, I don't know. It was a weak start to Mysterio. The Gauntlet has really, Electro sucked. Sandman, I hated the ending, and the story was okay, but I hated the ending. Rhino was 1 part, and Rhino's not Rhino anymore. Sure, why not? Now Mysterio's starting off slow. And then next, I believe, is Vulture. The next web is Spider-Man's Vulture. So after Mysterio's Vulture. Great. Great. Just great. Just keep going. Maybe they want to start Spider-Man off crappy, so by the time they start rectifying everything from One More Day, it'll actually end in this year good. Okay, this next comic, I never thought I'd see this again on the top of a DC comic, because this is years old, and this is kind of why this comic didn't do as good as it should have. Superman Batman number 68, Our Worlds at War tie-in. Guys, Our World at War, when you're done scanning, I believe it's Our World at War. Yeah, Our World at War happened years ago. It was an event that rocked the entire DC Universe. DC Universe was invaded by aliens. This story takes place during the aftermath. It says it. on all the comic books that were involved in little history lesson in Our Worlds at War, they all had the title like this, and then under here was during the war or aftermath or prequel or something to that effect. I'm glad Superman Batman jumped out of the continuity again. Thank you God, because those two Blackest Night issues sucked. I noticed that they have a series of about 4 parts of a good story, then they have a series of 2 to 3 parts that sucks. The Blackest Night sucked. This issue actually has promise, but it's... How do I explain it? They went back to an event that happened years ago. I never thought I'd hear the words Our Worlds at War again. I mean, this is a comic that happened, like I said, so long ago, and it doesn't even have anything really to do with Our Worlds at War. If you guys got the October issue before Blackest Night of Superman Batman, that was the prequel to this. It takes place after Our World at War. The Kryptonian, they find the Kryptonian escape pod. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to go back to that October issue and read up on it. They found a Kryptonian ship that was drifting along in space for a long, long time, and there was an escape pod missing. Any more info on that, go pick up 3 issues back on Superman Batman. So the pod's on Earth, but they don't know where the person in the pod was. A lot of talking, a lot of running around, and then there's an attack on the Daily Planet. Clark saves everybody in the reporter's den, or whatever you want, the reporter's place, and then this guy shows up with a mysterious X on him, and it was very slow. It's like it's building up to something. It has promise for the next issue. It ends where the fight's going to start. You see Superman saying, I saved everyone, now you're going to face me. We don't even know who this mysterious guy is. He calls himself, I believe he calls himself Nurge X. Here, this is the villain. I'll show you guys what the villain looks like. That's what the villain looks like. And we don't know if he's Kryptonian. We don't know anything yet. It's just, it was a cluster shit. It was cluster shit. I'm being honest with you. And I'm trying not to curse. It was really shit. He blows up the den, and this is where it leaves off. This is where it leaves off right here. It leaves off right there with Superman saying, you're going to have to deal with me now, in other words. And I'm being honest, DC, for real, stop with this stupid shit. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Doc Savage. Doc Savage. Look, you're wasted already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. And I missed the way the back was where it actually told you what issue was next and it showed you a picture of the cover. This stupid shit's got to stop. DC Comics is getting a little bit stupid with their comic books. At least they're still, you know, I'm not going to, we'll talk about Marvel later. But anyway, it starts the story off. It starts off slow. The next issue will probably be better. I wish they'd take off the fact that it's tied into Our Worlds at War. I'm glad they're out of the continuity. You don't have to say what part in time they went back to do this issue. Bruce Wayne's Batman. They're basically doing it to prove that, to show that Bruce Wayne is Batman. It's not Dick Grayson. And I'm happy. I like Bruce better than Dick as Batman. I've given up on all Batman titles basically because they're just not as good as when Bruce was Batman. There's hints that somebody's going to possibly die in the Batman universe. They claim it's Dick. They claim it might be Damian. I don't give a crap. I just want Bruce to be back because he was the best Batman. I don't even collect Batman. To be honest with you guys, I collected it to see how Dick would be as Batman, and the answer was a big no. It was just no. Bad. So, Superman Batman, nah. It started off very slow. And with the finger, I'm guessing I don't have time to jump into the next one. We will come back with the next few comics, the last few, as a matter of fact. So I'll catch you guys in the next part.